Again, folks, the noise you're hearing is not me emulating Rudy Giuliani. That's someone working on the roof. Uh, I like saying things to make Chad laugh.
Good job. Nonpartisan laugh, though.
Again, you have taken a close look at the racial disparity, Chad, in this. Talk to us about that, if you would.
Right. So it's a general pattern that that Black and Hispanic or Latino employment suffers more in a recession and comes back more slowly in a recovery than white employment, and we're seeing that. I have to look at my cheat sheet, but so the black unemployment rate at 10.3% is 4.5 percentage points higher than it was in February. The Hispanic unemployment rate at 8.4% is 4 percentage points higher than it was in February, and the white unemployment rate at 5.9%, still elevated, is 2.8 percentage points higher than February. So the Black and Hispanic rates Black and Latino rates are higher, have come down more slowly than the white rate, and that's unfortunately common in recoveries, but it's not good. And we saw real improvements, not closing the gaps, but real improvements in the final stages of the long recovery that ended in February, where Black unemployment got down to historically low levels, Hispanic unemployment rate got down to historically low levels compared to the white rate, and now with that's all blown up in COVID, and those rates are not coming down as fast as the white rate. Also, in the blog post that we put out on Friday, we also looked at so the unemployment rate doesn't tell the whole story, because there are people who drop out, who would like a job if they thought it was easy to find a job, but they may not even be looking because it just doesn't look like, or it's not safe. Some of the jobs are not safe to take, and out of prudence, you say, I'm not going to go out there into a dangerous environment, or the jobs aren't there because of the COVID situation. So took a look at the employment to population ratio. That's the share of the working age and we focused on the prime working age population, ages 25 to 54. So you don't worry about the fact that many people my age have already retired, and the baby boom is retiring, and they don't want to be working, or some of us do. But they're, if you look at the whole population, 16 and over, it can be distorted just by some of those demographic factors, like the increasing retiring of the baby boom. So we focus on 25 to 54, and we see that the black employment to population ratio, share of the population with a job, 25 to 54, is down much more since February. The Hispanic share is down much more since February than the white share, and that's a disturbing pattern that we see in every recovery. But it's there's nothing different about this one, except the numbers are higher. We have the employment to population numbers are lower. The share of the population with a job in each of those groups is considerably lower than it was in February. So that's a lot of people who want to be working who aren't.
And without relief or stimulus, you put that together with the resources people don't have. I think there was some recent data that's come out in the past 24 hours showing a third of African Americans unable to pay rent or bills in the current moment.
Right.
So even if you have relief and stimulus, it's still a lot of catching up, a disproportionate amount of catching up that Black and brown communities have to do.
That's right. That's right. We've gotten so the data you're talking about is I think the data, the special data that the Census Bureau is putting out with special survey that's called Pulse data, that's really examining hardship, and including the racial and ethnic differences in a bunch of measures of hardship. And you're absolutely right that Black families and Hispanic or Latino families are experiencing greater hardship than a hardship in greater numbers, disproportionately in disproportionate numbers compared with white families. In the list of things that are going to be a problem at the end of the year is the fact that the moratorium, the rent moratorium, and is going to go away unless part of a relief package is extending that moratorium. Without money in their hands, without jobs, people don't have the money to meet their rent and mortgage obligations, and they've been spared to a degree by the moratorium. But in the meantime, there's a lot of evidence that the lenders have already got everything lined up to press the button on evictions as soon as the moratorium lifts, and that's not good. Now, we should have some sympathy for landlords and lenders to some degree, because they're suffering too. I mean, many landlords are people who rent out a room in their house or a basement in their house. They're not, and they may be experiencing the same difficulties. Now, we're not talking about large operations. Sympathy for them is a different matter. But nevertheless, they're losing money too. But there's around Christmas time, right after Christmas is when the unemployment benefits are scheduled to expire, and at the end of the year, the others. So it's a mess, and I'm still holding out hope that this Congress will do something in the next couple of weeks, really.
Yeah.
To both provide hardship relief, and that hardship relief helps to stimulate the economy, because you can make a rent payment, you can buy groceries.
Yeah.
With extra money.
And this is not so much economic, but there's going to be a vaccine, and then there's a question of whether Black and brown communities will have adequate and fair access to the vaccine as well. So you put that on top of the financial hardship and the unemployment hardship and all that's going on, and the eviction possibility. This is pretty rough, man.
It's pretty rough. You're absolutely right. I mean, at one level, it's great news that there are successes with the vaccines, and they're starting to roll them out.
Right.
At another level, we're dealing with the same old of who gets it and who doesn't when. And yeah.
That's the thing to be concerned about. And so undoubtedly, just to go back, as we look at the holiday season, where we might see a small increase in temporary employment because people aren't getting out shopping as much, people may be doing more online. If that, we probably can expect December's numbers to be pretty down as well, if people aren't being hired in seasonal stores, right?
Yes, and furthermore, we're probably going to have COVID restrictions that add to that. It's necessary for public health and people's own safety, but there'll be less hiring. There'll be businesses will have there'll be less business. So it's going to be it's truly the this winter is going to be rough. But there are lights at the end of the tunnel, and it's not a train coming at us this time. It is real help, but that's not going to really kick in until the spring at the earliest. So we have a time that we have to get through. That's going to be tough.